On a sunny afternoon, the camp is calm and everyone is enjoying some time in the sun, getting rest before hunting patrols begin. In one corner of the clearing is Heatherstar and Chad Russell, deep in conversation. Weasel Rush, having just returned from hunting himself, overhears some of what is being said as he drops prey on the fresh kill pile. If you ever catch not listening to orders, don't be afraid to pause. They'll Shard Russell glares at him. Stay out of this. This doesn't concern you, added Heatherstar. Heard me. It's not right. There must be. Bad leg gave out on him at the worst moment. Weasel Rush reluctantly nods as he's allowed up. He slinks away from the two and heads for Snakefur's den, needing the comfort of his mate in the moment, as well as to have his wounds looked at. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. So, hopefully, you enjoyed the start to today's video. I thought I'd do something a little different, and the whole moment was dramatic enough that I thought it would be fun to make a little animatic out of it. Anyway, I'm trying yet another new way of recording this audio, and so I hope it works out better than last week's video. So, again, let me know how it sounds to you guys. I hope it's alright. And, yeah, without further ado, let's get into year 3. Actually, before we do that, I'm gonna go over something real quick. Just with the way things are going, I thought it would make sense. For other cats that would be living around this tribe to start to want to kind of do the same thing. One of the patrols was ambushed by a group of rogues. And these rogues ended up deciding, wait a second, there's something to this. And they knew a couple other cats, and before long they had a small group form. And they decided to adopt some of the tribe ways. So they moved across the stream of where Darkstone's where their territory is, and they found a nice little spot to make their own territory. So they started to expand it and get a few more cats to join, and now they have become their own tribe. And they are called the Tribe of Tall Shadows. I will go over these guys a little more, probably towards the end of the video, but I just wanted to get out of the way that there is now other tribes in the area. So across from Darkstones is Tall Shadows, and then beside Tall Shadows, at the very end of year 3, is the beginning of the tribe of Falling Rain starting to be formed. So going into year 4, there will be 3 tribes close together, and yeah, I look forward to seeing how this starts to impact this tribe here, and the cats and everything, because not all of them are going to be ruled by the Dark Ones. So it'll be interesting to see how outside influences affect everyone. And yeah, I hope you guys follow along with this series. And join me on this adventure of seeing what happens in this little world. I certainly look forward to seeing how they all interact and all the drama that's more than likely to come from this. So this year we're going to start things off a little bit differently. We are going to be starting with the cats who died. And first up here we have Shard Russell. Despite his misgivings about his mother as an apprentice, it doesn't take long for her constant influence to begin to corrupt him once he became deputy. He slowly adjusts to running things as a deputy and eagerly stands up to fight whenever it's asked of him. He once was friends with Weasel Rush, but with his new role and loyalty to his mother and leader, the two began to grow distant. He manages to perform his duties to his mother's satisfaction while deputy, including going as far as to attack his previous friend for her. Unfortunately, it's due to this tussle he gets a wound that, while minor, gets infected. Not long after that, he dies due to the infection. So, it's a little disappointing to see Shard Russell die so early on, but it seems it's just, what was meant to be. And now he wanders in the darkness. Now our next cat is rather sad. It's Bone Dawn. Feeling like his life is getting close to the end, he spent a bit more time with Snakefur to pass on his wisdom the best he could. He's disappointed with Shard Russell, but still is there for his son as well. He tries to encourage some good to return to Heatherstar's heart whenever they're together, but this often results in her being annoyed with him and wandering off. He's sad to see the cat he loves so dearly become so bitter and malicious. This also has him worrying about Weasel Rush, who he's always seen as a son of sorts. He's proud of the Tom sticking true to his heart and hopes the clan doesn't squeeze out the good in him. The last bit of his time alive, he spends it giving wisdom to Snakefur and Weasel Rush as much as he's able to. Before his death, he requested to speak to Weasel Rush. While they lay huddled together, Bone Dawn confesses to the younger Tom that the kits Heatherstar is carrying aren't his. Shortly after that, he passed away. Next up, we have the young Cavern Paw. He's always pestering older cats and telling jokes. His clanmates either enjoy his company or find him annoying. Once it comes time for his trial, he confidently wanders into the woods to face their challenges. However, he falls victim to them and never returns. I was pretty disappointed about this one. I was kinda hoping he'd survive and, there'd be some way he would leave the tribe and, he could be the start of the one who created Cavern Clan, basically. And tie the two worlds together, which I thought would be a really cool way of doing things. But unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case. So, I guess that's goodbye to Cavern Paw. And then we also have Wing Kit and Owl Kit. These two kits were born basically towards the end of the year and were just taken away shortly after their birth, as is the ritual of the tribe. So there's not really anything to say about them. They were born, lived a few minutes, and then were taken away. They are not siblings, but fun fact, they are cousins. No, that's not right. Sorry, not cousins. The one is... They're related. You'll see how later on. I'm not going to try and talk that through. You'll see later. And now we move on to the living cats. As per usual, we start with the Heatherstar. At the end of the last year, she started to show a bit more aggressive side. And she started to encourage her cats to fight others more and destroy outsiders' herbs. This year, she seems to venture further down this path, as both age begins to affect her as well as being exposed to the Dark Ones. With her mind beginning to become more warped, she begins to believe that her tribe is starting to plot against her. She's noticed the worried look in Bone Dawn's face and how he often speaks with Weasel Rush. Surely they're not plotting against her, are they? This suspicion leads her to snap at Shard Russell, who she believes should be staying on top of the others, and tells him if he needs to use claws to enforce their way of life, then so be it. She is challenged by Weasel Rush over this, and she doesn't even hesitate to send her son to deal with the other Tom. After the fight, she warns the Ginger Tom that should he try something like that again, he will be exiled or killed for such treasonous thoughts. Shortly after this, she's visited by the possessed Snakefur one night. The young she-cat's eyes are no longer hers as she passes on a message with a voice that is not her own. The stars must fall so the moon can rise. Confused but eager for this message, Heatherstar asks what this means and what she needs to do. The possessed Snakefur responds, "Kits will be given, they will be judged, the tribe will gain new blood." Nothing more is said, but an understanding washes over the leader. For the next few moons, she remains close to her mate until she one day exclaims that she's expecting kits. The clan is surprised, but happy with this. Little do they know, these kits aren't Bone Dawns. She gives birth to a litter of 4 kits, one of which is chosen by Snakefur to be given to the Dark Ones. And so ends the year on a note of foreboding, as Heatherstar holds a dark secret. I certainly look forward to seeing where this goes, because I was not expecting this turn of events, but it certainly is promising to be quite interesting, that's for sure. Next up, we have a new cat, as well as the new deputy of the tribe. His name is Fleck. This Tom used to belong to a gang of rogues that started forming their own tribe, which I mentioned at the start would be Tall Shadows, which was inspired by Darkstone's creation. However, he'd acted out in such a way that those cats decided they didn't want him to be part of the founding of the new tribe. Kicked out, he wandered around on his own for a while before stumbling into a Darkstone's patrol. Despite Heatherstar's doubts, he managed to speak to her in such a way that she agreed to invite him in, and a moon later even made him deputy. The longer he's with the tribe cats, the more he hears and sees strange things and begins to wonder just what is in the forest. For the most part, nothing really happens during the year for him. He mostly spends his time talking with different cats and learning how to create and send out patrols. He does get into a tussle with a hawk and ends up with a new scar from that. Shortly after, he missteps while on some rocks and ends up getting his paw stuck temporarily, dislocating a joint. He thankfully heals quickly from these things, and as the year starts to draw to a close, Heatherstar begins to slowly introduce him to some of the secrets of their tribe, as she prepares him to take over her place one day when her time is up. And now we move on to the healer, Snakefur. Dealing with being possessed is a struggle for her. She's not sure why there's so many gaps in her memory, or what some cats talk about when they thank her for healing a wound she doesn't remember, or the advice she's supposedly given. During this turmoil, she confides in Weasel Rush. The two had bonded a fair bit the previous year due to how often he had stayed in camp from one injury or another. He helps keep her calm and sane in her troubled time and is the consistent good in her life that she so desperately needs. At some point, she starts to figure out what sensations hint to her that she's about to black out. She starts to fight this and at one point falls out of a tree mid-struggle, and the next is delayed in trying to jump out of the way of falling rocks, which land on her tail. Both of these things earning her new scars. Despite these injuries, she sees them as a win since she was able to stay in control. Unfortunately, at night the Dark Ones will still easily manipulate her body for their own means, often leaving her tired in the morning. The more tired she is, the easier it is for them to control her at any time. In between these events, some good happens in her life. Weasel Rush asks her to be mates, and she happily agrees. At this point in time, there are no rules about healers not having mates, so no one sees a problem with this. She also spends plenty of time with Bone Dawn as he offers her guidance the best he can. It's a bittersweet day when she discovers her father is dead and that she's expecting kits. She's excited to become a mother, but the thick cloud of grief shadows over any joy she should be feeling. Then to add to that, she isn't sure how she feels about being pregnant at the same time as her mother. At the end of the year, she gives birth to 3 healthy kits. One is taken away, which adds to her sadness, but she's always known that was going to happen. She continues to heal cats as needed, but rarely ventures from the camp while she's nursing, instead sending her clanmates to gather certain herbs for her as it's needed, most especially Weasel Rush, as he has become rather familiar with several herbs due to his time in the healer's den. And now we have our troubled boy, Weasel Rush. Feeling somewhat like he's let the tribe down by having a bad leg, he pushes harder than any other tribe cat to be useful and prove himself. He can still tell that despite his hard work, Heatherstar still doesn't approve of him and it frustrates him. He's thankful at least to have the support of Bone Dawn and Snakefur. It hits him hard when Bone Dawn is declared dead. His bitterness towards the leader simply grows as he has a suspicion that she used her mate before he died, but has no real proof or reason why, except for what Bone Dawn said to him right before he passed away. So he starts to hover around her, listening in to different things. When he hears how Heatherstar wants to punish cats using tooth and claw, he can't control his outburst of protest. Bone Dawn would never approve of this, and how could she think to attack her own tribe mates in such a way? Standing up to the leader results in some nasty wounds from both her and Charred Russell. Being outnumbered and having a bad leg, he yields. Avoiding her gaze, his need to impress the leader turns to bitterness as she threatens to exile him should he try to stand up against her again. Alongside that, he also feels guilty for fighting his former friend, as he realizes it's cause of his actions that the other Tom died. He never wanted Charred Russell to die, and no one can seem to convince him it's not his fault for the death. He sets aside his growing anger and grief when with Snakefur, as he knows she needs him to be there for her. He brings her little gifts to try to brighten her days, and even takes her out on moonlit strolls. He's thrilled when she agrees to be his mate and is very devoted to her. He can tell something is off, but ignores it as he loves her regardless. When she announces she's expecting kids, he gets even more excited. Other cats would often see him running around preparing anything and everything for the kid's arrival. His world is shaken slightly when Charred Russell dies. Weasel Rush, while wishing he could be the next in line to succeed the leader, realizes at this point that it'll never happen. So he's not surprised when the recently joined Fleck is chosen. He finds the other Tom a bit suspicious, but says and does nothing about it, instead choosing to focus on his newborn kits. I feel so bad for Weasel Rush, honestly. There's so much that happens to this poor cat. I think he's like the only truly good cat in the whole tribe. Except for innocent kids. And I mean, Snakefur is good, but I mean, she is possessed a fair bit of the time. So I think him, like, through and through, just 100% is, like, the only good force in the tribe. So I am hoping he survives and everything goes well. But I'm kind of worried that as soon as he does die, there won't be anything to stop the darkness anymore. And this clan will really just spin out of control. I mean, tribe, sorry. But yeah, let me know what you think of this poor guy's life so far. I feel so bad for him, but at least he has Snakefur. And now we have yet another new cat. Her name is Nari, and she joins towards the end of the year as she was abandoned by her family. She's a bit odd with her mannerisms, and the tribe isn't sure what to make of her, but they need to grow in number with other tribes starting up to pop up around. And so they allow her to join. At one point, she was seen walking on her forepaws around the camp for no apparent reason, earning many questioning looks, or is seen just staring blankly at random spots while zoning out. Even some of the stuff she says doesn't make sense. Despite her strangeness, others seem to not mind her, and the kids especially find her a lot of fun. Snakefur actually wonders if Nari is able to see things, as the new she-cat confided in her at one point that she had an odd feeling about Antkit and couldn't help but be worried. Suddenly looking at the healer with an odd look, she stated, "Ant will get lost in the cavern." This made no sense to either cat, but Nari clearly has been worried and concerned about Antkit ever since. So, honestly, I love this cat's weirdness. I think she's going to be a lot of fun. And I suppose she might be one of the only other cats to be a force of good in the tribe. So hopefully she's around for a while. I like her odd antics. And now we move on to the kits. The first batch belonged to Snakefur, as they were born a little before Heatherstar's. So we have Roach Kit up first. She is born near the end of the year, as I said, and almost a spitting image of Bone Dawn, which is a bittersweet fact for both of her parents. This kit is also a bit on the nervous side of things, but once comfortable, loves to chatter away about anything she finds intriguing. The only thing others find annoying about her is how often she'd whine about being hungry. And then she has a brother named Mottled Kit. He is the larger of the two kits, and also clearly takes after Weasel Rush in looks. He loves to fluff out his fur and strut around like he is the best cat around. He's also seen following after Fleck occasionally, or talking with Owlkit as the two kits quickly form a friendship. And Wingkit was the third kit that was taken away. And lastly, we have Heatherstar's kits. So first up is Slipkit. She's a confident little cat who loves to hang out with Nari, finding the strange cat a lot of fun. Not much else really happens for her, as she just spends her time teasing Antkit and just playing games with the others. And then after her we have Antkit, who also has a strange thing for slugs like Greypaw did, though not nearly as obsessed. He also enjoys identifying different leaves and thinking about prophecies. If he passes his apprentice trial, it's quite possible he might follow the path of a healer. And then lastly we have One Kit. She's a nervous kit and tries her best to stay out of others' way. She prefers being on her own and loves to decorate the nests in the nursery. Heatherstar is a bit doubtful of her, as she seems too soft for the life in the tribe, but trusts the dark ones. And then the last kit was Owlkit. And if you noticed, Mottled Kit was interacting quite a bit with Owlkit, which is quite interesting because Owlkit is dead. So that means Mottled Kit is interacting with Owlkit's spirit. What that means or could hint at for the future, I'm not sure, but that is a thing that is happening apparently. And it's also especially concerning considering Owlkit was one of the kits given by the Dark Ones. So, who knows what that could mean? So I hope you guys enjoyed year 3 of, I was about to say Cavern Clan, but no, of the Tribe of Dark Stones. It's certainly been an interesting one. There's a lot happening, especially with the new kits, which have been, brought in by the Dark Ones. How that worked between the Dark Ones and Heatherstar is a little weird, I would imagine, but it is a thing that happened, so cool. And then also with the new tribe starting up, that should also bring about more interesting stuff. And before we end the video, I will go over the new tribes just a little bit, just a small little introduction, and then I will start doing it at either at the beginning or the end of future videos. I'll just kind of mention a little bit of what the outside tribes are doing that, could result in influencing Dark Stones, and that kind of thing. So the first tribe we have that is closest would be Tall Shadows. Now, because these tribes and everything are so new, there isn't a set structure of how they're forming. That, I'm guessing, is going to come later on, is as the tribes start interacting more, they're going to start coming up with agreed upon rule set that all the tribes have to follow, so there's a constant war or anything like that. And so for Tall Shadows, they don't have a deputy. They just have their leader and the healer that work together side by side to run this tribe. So their leader is Spider Lake, and she is 152 moons old. She was one of the cats that was in the rogue group that attacked one of the Darkstone's patrols. With being older, she realized after that attack that, being on their own wasn't that great of a thing, that, if they had a bit of a bigger group like Darkstone's, it would just be easier on her and other cats that were getting older to have somewhere safe to live, as well as just, have a better community and not always feel like they have to fight for every single thing that they need. So she started forming this tribe. And one of the first cats that she recruited is Mist Flare, who has a natural talent for healing. He knows a few things of herbs, and he is more than happy to join, as he isn't much of a fighter either, and also agrees having a group where they can all feel protected and safe with one another is a good thing. One notable thing about him, besides being a healer, is that he's unusually fast. So he's also often used to send messages from one place to another when it's suitable. And then when we go over to the tribe of Falling Rain, the cat who formed this tribe is Clover. She's cold, has a keen eye for things, and is quite a formidable fighter. She was a loner who often had to fight for things herself, and was betrayed by many different cats, which is why she became rather cold and quite a good fighter. Despite the many betrayals that she's gone through, she does see the wisdom in having a group of cats around. So she slowly starts to accumulate some bodyguards of sorts. And she is also very much a natural leader and quickly figures out the best way to run things. So she just starts to put different cats, send them on tasks that suit their specific traits best. The one cat, Ripple, seemed to know a few things about plants. He's never really done much healing, but she figures that he would be the perfect one to put into more of a healing kind of role, and so that's kind of where he's been put. He does do other things as well. He still goes out and hunts and, helps fight off outsiders once in a while when needed. He doesn't really feel like he fits as just a healer, so he's just kind of all over the place. And he is rather insecure about his healing skills, because, yeah, like I said, he's not really much of a healer. He just knows a few plants, and that just got kind of pushed on him. Despite that, he is very clever, so he is picking up things fairly fast, and he's also a fast runner, so, he could also be a messenger, though that's not really something that they're considering. They don't really want much to do with the other tribes. They're purely just looking out for themselves. I will say one of their cats is named Egg, so I kind of love that. He's one of the Toms. I am really happy to have a cat named Egg. It is so random, but awesome. Look forward to seeing more of him. And yeah, so that's a little about the other tribes. I also made maps of each of them, which you would have already been seeing, is how they all connect and everything. And that would be that. I don't think there's much else for me to really say about the tribes. I mean, I could go on. I love this. I love sharing about them. I love that you guys enjoy listening to them. I really appreciate it. Honestly, it's flattering you guys enjoy it. But that is where things are at, where I will leave them at for today. I am looking forward to year 4 now that there's more cats. And I hope you guys will join me. And, I look forward to hearing from you and what you think of these cats. Also, here's an interesting thing. Clangen does generally give different traits to different groups of cats that, just what the tribe is seen as. How Shadow Clan is seen as dark and cunning and whatever, and River Clan is, about water and fish, whatever. Anyway, so the tribes I was thinking of doing something similar too. So, like, Darkstones would be, of course, known for being dark. and a little murdery, I would think. Like, there hasn't really been murder at this point, but, you know, that's just kind of the vibe they give off of. So I was just curious what you guys think, Tall Shadows and Falling Rain, what their traits should be. And, yeah, I look forward to hearing about that, and maybe we can kind of work on helping these tribes come together in their own unique way. And I will talk to you guys another time. Hope you all have a great week. And yeah, that would be that. I always find outros so awkward, so forgive me for that. Anyways, goodbye.